Welcome back. Today we're jumping right into our latest explainer, looking at the architecture of silent thought, a 2300 retrospective. We're going to take a pretty wild journey today, tracing the massive leap from the familiar physical devices sitting in our hands right now, all the way to the awe-inspiring mind-to-mind telepathic networks of the deep future.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's a question that honestly sounds like pure science fiction. What will communication technology actually look like in the year 2300? Are we even going to be speaking to each other out loud anymore? To understand exactly where humanity is heading, we really have to look at how human connection is about to fundamentally evolve over the next 3 centuries.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it maps out the grand chronological march of progress we're about to explore. We're going from the year 2026 with smartphones to 2050 with wearables, hitting neural interfaces in 2100, brain networks by 2200, and finally, the actual end of spoken language in 2300. It's a massive leap ahead.
Let's start close to home, right in 2026. Right now, we're still entirely reliant on what our source perfectly describes as small, glowing rectangles. Think about the physical friction of this reality for a second. To connect with the billions of other people across Earth, you have to literally pull a physical chunk of metal and glass out of your pocket, awkwardly type with your thumbs, and stare down at a tiny screen. And yeah, usually while walking straight into traffic. It's revolutionary for our current era for sure, but it's inherently limiting. Your vast, incredibly complex thoughts have to be squeezed through this tiny mechanical bottleneck. But by 2050, those physical glowing rectangles, they begin completely disappearing from our daily lives. They get replaced by tiny wearable devices, and suddenly all that physical friction begins to fade away. AI assistants step in to seamlessly handle the bulk of our day-to-day communication logistics, and perhaps the absolute coolest, most unifying shift here, instant translation becomes the global standard. People from totally different countries can speak naturally to one another in real time without ever needing to learn a new language. The ancient barriers of geography and linguistics just start rapidly crumbling.
Then things really speed up. By 2100, we hit a massive milestone, the death of screens. Communication completely, utterly severs its dependency on external hardware. We see the widespread arrival of neural interfaces, directly linking the human mind to the digital world. Just imagine this for a second. Sending a highly complex message to a friend on the exact opposite side of the planet becomes as entirely effortless as simply having an idea. The thought itself is the message. No typing, no speaking, just thinking. It's a real game changer. And this brilliantly illustrates an incredible sensory shift by the year 2200. See, today, if you see something breathtaking, you have to try and translate it into clunky words, right? Frantically typing away to try and describe a beautiful sunset. But in 2200, advanced brain networks make physical distance entirely meaningless. You don't describe the sunset anymore. You transmit the pure, unfiltered feeling of witnessing it directly into someone else's mind. They see the exact colors, they feel the awe, they literally feel the warmth on their skin exactly as you do in that very moment.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that by 2300, we reach the end of language itself. Language, as we've known it for thousands of years, completely fades into obsolescence. It's entirely replaced by these hyper-complex streams of raw thoughts, vivid imagery, deep emotions, and sensory experiences. And because we aren't limited by the physical speed of our mouths or our fingers anymore, entire multi-layered conversations happen in mere seconds.
To really wrap our heads around what this looks like in practice, picture this vivid scenario from the source material. Imagine a student sitting in a classroom in Lagos, Nigeria, who wants to learn about extraterrestrial geology. Instead of, reading a dry textbook or watching a documentary, they instantly download and experience the actual lived memories of a scientist stationed on Mars. They literally feel the red dust crunching under their boots, they experience the low gravity, they inherit all that firsthand knowledge in the blink of an eye. Education becomes a direct, instant transfer of lived experience.
And think about how this completely revolutionizes the arts. Imagine a musician who has just composed an absolute masterpiece. In this future, they aren't just sharing a recorded audio file of their song. They are transmitting the raw, overwhelming emotions they felt during its creation directly to their audience. Imagine how this changes your favorite playlist. You wouldn't just hear the notes, you'd feel the exact heartbreak, the exact triumph the artist felt in the studio, woven directly into your own consciousness. It is total, uncompromised empathy on a scale we've never even dreamed of before.
But this level of absolute, unfettered connection brings us to a frankly terrifying question. If thoughts can be transmitted, can they also be intercepted? The greatest cybersecurity challenge of the future may not be protecting your phone. It may be protecting your mind.
If your memories, your sensory experiences, and your deepest unspoken emotions are all streaming across a network, the concept of privacy takes on a frightening new dimension. Who has access to your silent thoughts? Can a memory be hacked? We leave you with that dilemma to ponder, the ultimate cost of ultimate connection.